It's the man of the hour, or rather Hourman, Golden Age origin time, and today we're looking at Rex Tyler, Hourman, or TikTok Tyler as he was known. It's a nickname that the origin desperately wants to happen, and they hold on to it for a little bit too. It's not gonna happen, although maybe we can make it happen now. The Hourman is destined for online fame. Also, this is gonna serve as a background for us talking about Hourman's story and how it evolves as it pertains to addiction, because I don't want to overwhelm you with another 40-minute video like I did with Queen Clea. I'm Sasha, this is Casually Comics, and it's time to talk about Hourman, the man who has power for an hour. The rhymes write themselves. Hourman debuted in Adventure Comics number 48 in 1940 and was created by Ken Fitch and artist Bernard Bailey, who is the one who gets his name on the title page. Now, this story was reprinted in Justice League of America 96, as well as some other archive books, but issue 96 from 1972 does something interesting. There's a name change for some of the characters. In the original story, the family that Hourman is helping is named the Kennedys. But in the reprint, they're renamed to being the Kentons. Maybe it's to avoid association with President Kennedy later on, because the wife in the story has the first initial of J and the husband's name is John. So that's what I could think of as to why you would want to change the names. Can you think of anything else? And if that is the case, do you feel like it's necessary? As for his first outing, we start with an intro box that explains who he is. Presenting the origin of TikTok Tyler, the Hourman. Rex Tyler, a young chemist, discovers Miraclo, a powerful chemical that transforms him from a meek, mild scientist to the underworld's most formidable foe. With Miraclo, he has for 1 hour the power, I knew it, of chained lightning speed, almost as swift as thought. But unless he performs his deeds of strength and daring within 1 hour, the effects of Miraclo wear off and the Hourman becomes his former meek self. Now you see that Hourman wears an hourglass. It's on brand. It's also glowing in this art and will be on the cover. It makes it seem like that's where the power comes from. It's not, although in some versions you'll see that. I just keep thinking that the hourglass is not the best way to tell time with the type of fighting he's doing, with all the jumping and moving around. That has to mess with the accuracy, and we're gonna see him use it to tell time later. What do you think his foes thought it was for? It's not a great idea to advertise that you only have power for 1 hour. Speaking of advertising, that's how Rex finds his crimes that he's going to stop, at least in this first issue. He takes out a slightly sketchy sounding ad in the paper, or rather an earnest ad if one is less cynical. A strange ad appears in a great metropolitan daily. To the oppressed, young man anxious to help the oppressed offers services free to all who need him. Apply, Box 28, Post Office. Young man anxious to help the oppressed enjoys pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. Also, long walks on the beach. Well, he gets a lot of replies to his ad, which is sad, but also heartwarming that people willing to put themselves out there like that. But he has a whole pile. It's difficult for him to choose. In his apartment, we find Rex Tyler, the man who is to win fame as TikTok Tyler, the Hourman. He's not going to win fame that way. The Hourman is going to stay, but they're even going to remove the hyphen. Also, the is just going to be Hourman, and TikTok, that's not making it. I'm glad I kept my address a secret. If all these people ever came in person. Okay, seriously though, here's the reason why TikTok doesn't work. TikTok Tyler, even though it would actually be a great TikTok handle. It's because as a nickname, that's tied to his real name and not his superhero name. Hence, only the omnipotent narrator and someone who would know who he was could use that name. It's not like his civilian identity is obsessed with time or makes clocks or anything like that. We're still early in the era of mystery men and superheroes, and so as a result, the secret identity element isn't as firmed up as it's going to become, because later on you wouldn't have that kind of nickname because, as mentioned, that's tied to the civilian half, not the superhero half, and here they're kind of being conflated by giving him that nickname. But enough of that, we have to get to the letter that he picked. A particular letter catches his eye. Dear sir, since my husband lost his job, I've been almost crazy trying to keep him from going around with the gang that is making a thief of him. John was a good man to me and our children, but since he has taken up with his old crowd, he is becoming a vicious person. My prayers would be with you if you could help a distressed wife and mother. Hopefully, Mrs. J. Kenton. This looks like a job for the Hourman, who does have a costume, but he goes to see Mrs. Kenton in a trench coat and with some sunglasses and a big hat. When else are you gonna get to wear your sneaking apparel? If not now, when? His costume is bright yellow for a lot of it. Now, this wife overheard what the next robbery that her husband is going to pull will be because he talks in his sleep. That's how Iris found out that Barry was the Flash. Later, in his laboratory, this tear gas concentrate in my ring could make an army cry. TikTok mixes a vial of the precious fluid that will make him insensible to harm and injury. The Grand March is at 11. I'll take this 1 minute before 11. So you see, in this story, Miraclo is a liquid, but it's going to very quickly become a pill. Okay, so they briefly touch on Miraclo, which I say differently each time. At the time, it makes sense that it's presented positively. You already have a history of stories of enhancing serums, but when it comes to being a pill, there's a very positive attitude towards things like that in this era that this is being written. Vitamins and supplements are on the upswing. The positive health impacts are being well noted. The advertising about how these pills could improve your life and make you stronger and more attractive will be extensive. Also, pills and drugs are going to be extensively used by soldiers in the military. It's also going to be presented very positively. There's going to be a lot of good buzz and PR around these things. They're going to be touted as cure-alls and mood enhancers and ways to increase productivity, including the amphetamines. The negative effects, they're going to become more well-known later, as are the addictive properties. Not that people are wholly unaware, but it's going to take a while to widely disseminate. However, as the understanding and the culture around drugs and pills changes, so too will Hourman's relationship with Miraclo. It's going to take a while though, because when he's initially introduced, it's not looked at in that light, and during the Silver Age, he's not very utilized. And during that era, it couldn't have been mentioned anyway, so it's going to come back decades later. We shall discuss that in the addiction vid, and if it's already done, I'll put it down below. Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Also, that's all just a cliff notes about the general environment at the time, but that's part of what this story is coming into. And so as a contemporary reader, sometimes it can be difficult to cast oneself back into the headspace of these classic stories and see where they were coming from or why certain things were presented a certain way. But if one looks into it, there's usually a reason. As for the whole hour-long thing, it's to build tension into the story. Hourman never has a lot of time, and they want you to feel that. Tick-tock. But you see, it only applies when he's Hourman, and it doesn't line up with that name. TikTok Tyler bothers me, but the more I say it, the more I like it. Now, it's at an arts ball that this gang is planning to steal some pearls. And Hourman has to act, but before he takes the pill, and so he throws in a threatening note. The Hourman introduces himself for the first time to the underworld. Kenton, go home to your wife and kids before it is too late. The Hourman. Ooh, a personalized paper seal. Now we can track them, boys. Notes/calling cards were all the rage in the Golden Age. Some pulp heroes leave them, and since early mystery men and superheroes will borrow a lot from the pulps, you'll see them take some of those elements, and calling cards is one of them. Just at the time, everybody wants to be the Scarlet Pimpernel. 1 minute to 11. Miraclo, do your stuff. Now, what does Miraclo do? The most. With it, he can see in the dark, so when the thieves kill the lights, he can still see. Also, they steal a necklace from right off her neck. I know it's dark, but still, they're good. Faster, drive faster, Kenton, we'll need a good start. But given the speed of wind by Miraclo, TikTok keeps the car in sight. Listen, I know it's 1940, but everybody needs to get off of the Flash's turf. People out here trying to talk about how fast they are. I see you, Silver Streak. The Flash debuts in January of 1940. A lot of characters are being created at this time, and they're all jockeying with different powers. And so sometimes the powers will overlap. Now in his pursuit, TikTok fails to see a car, and he does get hit by it. TikTok fails to see the speeding police car. Bop. That's not the sound I would associate with that. Wow, that had almost as much kick as Miraclo. Miraclo feels like getting hit by a car is not the endorsement you think it is, TikTok. Now this is the Golden Age, so we have some very stereotypical crooks, and they're fun to read. Warned by the wailing siren, the thugs open fire. Here you are, coppers, taste lead. Now in this panel, we see a timestamp, so there is time pressure. It's been half an hour. So these stories will have that there, just as a reminder. Either you'll have something like that in a little narration caption box, or he'll talk about it. Although it's not explained fully why he couldn't just take more Miraclo, especially when it becomes a pill. Right now in this story it was a fluid, so it makes sense he doesn't have it on him in a vial or anything. But later on in other stories, he'll just make one pill, which is something that does add layers later on when they do decide to go the addiction route. For here, you're just kind of admittedly meant to go with it and be invested in what's going on. He follows the gangsters to their hideout. Gosh, 20 minutes to 12. I've got to work fast or my powers will be gone. Meanwhile, Kenton, who had followed his pals, has seen TikTok's jump to the roof. But I tell you, I saw someone jump from the sidewalk to the roof. This guy's so scared he's seeing things. Good evening, gentlemen. I'll trouble you for those pearls. See? What'd I tell you? Seeing TikTok unarmed, one of the men reaches for his gun. You asked for it, pal, but you're gonna get it. Ooh, the banter and the sass of the era. Look, one of them's fleeing. They can't handle that. The banter was too much. The tear gas works as advertised, and so Hourman is able to grab Kenton and bring him up to the roof. Why have you taken me up here? What are you gonna do? I'm gonna teach you that crime doesn't pay. And then Mr. Kenton was never seen. Of course not. Hourman throws him off the roof. TikTok throws the scared Kenton off the roof. If you want to be a criminal, you've got to pay for it, Kenton. I just thought he said it didn't pay. Him paying for it would be some form of payment. Get it together, Rex. Help, help! Then the Hourman leaps off and catches Kenton before he reaches the ground. Will you go home to your wife and give up crime, or shall I throw you off the roof again? I'll go home. I'll quit. Only don't throw me off the roof again. The "or next time I won't catch you" is left unsaid, but we all hear it in our minds. Now the Miraclo wears off at midnight, and like Cinderella, Rex is transformed. Now he's meek again. It actually alters his entire personality. Now he's even kind of scared of the dark. So the Miraclo also makes him feel braver and more confident. Another thing that's going to work well when they alter his relationship with it later on. With the effects of Miraclo worn off, the Hourman once more becomes his meek, timid self. Gosh, it's dark here. I guess I'd better head for home. Next morning. Tyler, you could go places in this concern if you weren't such a timid soul. Why don't... Ugh, what's the use? I'm sorry, sir. I'll try to change. And so the woman gets her pearls back, and Mr. Kenton goes home to his wife and kids, and gets another job. Maybe the story's done. We won't get to see what happens to him. Tune in next time for more Hourman, and that is the origin of Hourman / his first outing. As far as origins go, it's fine. It's not the most exciting, but it is solid. It doesn't give you a great sense of Rex, but it does tell you how he's going to operate as a hero, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. One key thing is that he's clearly identified as wanting to help earnestly, what with his ad. And it does have that built-in story you can see of the time pressure, and that is a solid element because it gives him a built-in vulnerability and also sets some limits, at least story-wise, on what he can do, because even if you can add different abilities to him or different strengths, he's still going to have that time constraint. And having those kind of barriers and guardrails can be helpful in developing a character, especially as in the Golden Age, sometimes things will be added on as they go. There's kind of a hit the ground running kind of element. And there are some characters, including some we've covered, who they just come out with too much and it just all falls apart. But this story sent me on a quest, and it was to find out how long did they call him TikTok. I had to know. How long was he TikTok Tyler? Come on, you want to know too. So after some searching, firstly I know that the TikTok, it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, like we're trying to hide it a little bit, and they start to stop calling him it as much in the stories. In issue 63 of Adventure Comics was the earliest I could see them dropping it, but it goes in and out. Issue 83 is his last issue in the book for decades. So they tried the TikTok for a while, and while it still pops up here and there, it didn't stick. Now some other quick Cliff Notes things. He does have sidekicks, children, the Minutemen, even though they're boys. He does also go on to become a member of the JSA, although he's not in as many classic issues as some may think. In the Golden Age, he's only in the first 7 issues in All-Star Comics, which initially ran for 57 issues. Also, the JSA is actually formed in issue 3 of All-Star Comics. After issue 57, there's a decades-long hiatus, because when we see the series revived at number 58, that's 1976, and the original series ended in 1951. But as for this video, that was Rex TikTok Tyler, the Hourman, man of the hour. They just keep adding things onto him. He will also go on to become a legacy character. His son's gonna take the mantle. There's gonna be an android. It's gonna be a whole thing. So we could talk a lot more about Hourman. But in the meantime, let me know what you thought of this origin. Are there any other Golden Age characters you want to talk about? Is TikTok Tyler actually a great nickname? Please leave your thoughts down below. And while you're down there, please do all YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hype, hit the bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking this time to discuss some comments with me. I always appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.